We are here with David and Sharon, and we are standing in front of the Center for the Arts.
That's part of USC, University of South Carolina at Beaufort.
So tell me what you know about this area.
Well, it's very, very old. If you talk about colonial times, this goes all the way back. It was famous during the Civil War, and partly because it wasn't burned down. It became an early center for the Union troops. You know, early
So
in the
this very building.
no, not this,
the whole
not
town.
this building,
This
the town.
town.
Yeah.
They weren't strong enough to take Charleston or Savannah, so they took Beaufort instead.
So this was like a regional headquarters, and so there were Union troops here pretty much the whole time. But you also had all of the slavery question, and they called it the Beaufort experiment or something like that. But basically, where we had education and professional training and land ownership and all of this stuff going on here. Interestingly enough, the area suffered much more during the Revolutionary War than it did the Civil War, so it goes way back.
So tell me, why are you sitting here this morning?
This is the college. This is the Beaufort campus of University of South Carolina. And this, partly due to the pandemic, we offer some outdoor services. Our church does. And our church, by the way, is over 300 years old here. But here at the college, we have an outdoor service, and I'm here kind of early because I'm on the setup crew.
And what is the name of your church? And is it in town? I'm sure.
It's the Parish Church of St. Helena, that in 1712 was founded, and actually the building goes back to, I think it's about 1740. It's grown just a little bit, and for the tricentennial, this was before the Episcopal Church, and this was part of the extended diocese of London.
Bishop of London.
And when was the tricentennial?
In
2012.
In 2012.
And the Bishop of London actually came over and presided, partly because he was over here for another conference, but that was pretty cool to have him get up and say a few words.
Sharon is going to tell us again of something about the Penn Center.
It's located on St. Helena Island, and it was established to educate the freed slaves, and it's a conference center at this point, and they have a very interesting museum, and it's well worth a stop to visit.
And tell us about how it ties in with Martin Luther King.
He would come to the conference center a lot of times to rest and relaxation. You know, I'm sure it was, you know, he needed an outlet once in a while to, you know, gather his thoughts, and you know, he would meet other people in the civil rights movement there. But it's well worth the visit.
We will try to get there. Thank you again so much.
Okay.
God bless. been living here in the Carolinas?
1994.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Look for us on Facebook, Rediscovering America Road Tour.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Okay.
Bob here originally from Massachusetts, and he's moved to South Carolina. He's going to tell us a little bit about Robert Small's house and how that came to be.
Sure. So we're standing right by the Beaufort River, which is a very historic neighborhood here. It was a place where the wealthy slave-owning planters built their summer mansions, and about 100 of them would congregate here every summer. And one of those families owned, they had enslaved Robert Smalls. And so Robert Smalls later in his career had the opportunity to take a rebel warship out of the harbor after all the sailors, the white sailors, had left for a party. And he organized the escape with some of his friends, and he sailed it down along the coast to Beaufort, where the Union fleet was, and he surrendered the ship, and he told them how to navigate up this maze of rivers with sandbars and shoals and such, which enabled the Union to get up here and land and take this whole area, for which they gave him a bonus. And after the war, he used the bonus to buy his former master's home, which is only a quarter of a mile from where we're standing right now. And he eventually was elected to the United States Congress. I think he was also elected to the state legislature at the same time, and he became a very influential sort of politician and community leader, as well as an inspiration for all the African Americans around here for decades. This neighborhood, it's like a triangular wedge that juts out into the river, and there's about 100 houses in that wedge. It's on the registry of historically important properties. I think they call it the National Register.
So much, and we are going to take a visit there. We really appreciate your time this morning, and even this gentleman let us play with his dog. So even our dog made friends. Thank you so much. Have a great morning.
I'm standing next to a bust of Robert Smalls. Do you know who he is? Robert Smalls? Neither did I until we took a trip to Beaufort, South Carolina, and began to do research on the area. We thought it was just going to be like a beautiful bird sanctuary with salt marshes and alligators, and it turns out that the history of this place is remarkable, to be honest. And as far as our journey, which is called Rediscovering America, we discovered America again by coming here. This place, Beaufort, South Carolina, is ancient when it comes to the history of the United States. When we think of this man here and his story, it's the type of story you find only in scriptures or in the United States of America. A former slave. An incredible story. When I read this story, I was like, this is unbelievable. From slavery, born into slavery, to a courageous escape on a boat, and to joining the Union during the Civil War, and then coming back and enlisting 5,000 men to fight in that battle, and then coming back and buying the house of the slave owner that once owned him, to becoming a congressman in the U.S. Congress, in the House of Representatives. That's the type of story like of Joseph, sold into slavery by his brothers, and then being elevated to the second in command in Egypt. And here in the United States, an incredible story of a man, a slave, who becomes a member of the U.S. Congress only in America. But how come I don't know about this story? Because oftentimes great stories like this are lost in all the noise and all the stupidity of celebrity and all the fools that exist today. But this man, this story, moved me so that we came, instead of going south
a couple of days ago, we came southeast towards Beaufort so I could learn about this man and stand next to the bust of this man in this historic church. It's amazing. And so rediscovering America, what is that about? You know, pretty pictures, nice places to visit, amazing places, great history, food. All right, that's all great. Traveling is always fun. But it's more than that. Because if we discover the trace of grace, if we discover the fingerprint of God in the history of men in a country like this, it can help us understand who we are, who we're supposed to be today. It can help us understand how lost we are as a people. Because you only really need to rediscover something if you've lost it. You need to rediscover your way if you've lost your way. And America's been discovered many times. But in this critical hour in which we live today, we need to rediscover who we are. And stories like this, when we look back, stories of a man like this can move us to the values and faith and ideals that formed this nation. This man's story is remarkable. Everybody should know about Robert Smalls in the same way as everybody knows about Joseph in the Bible. So come along on this journey with us. Rediscover America as we plumb the depths of the history of this country and discover who we are. And our foundation built upon the faith of Scripture, the faith of Jesus Christ, recorded in the very words of the Bible, that is at the root and foundation of the formation of this nation. If we do that, we'll find out who we are. And if we do that, we'll find out where we once were going. And if we do that, we'll find out once again where we should be going, where we should be heading, and what type of people we should be, what type of America this should be. My name is Julian Raven with my wife Gloria. I invite you to come, join us as we rediscover America.